Okay, very nice to be here with all of you. And I'd like to talk tonight about how to improve the quality of your life and the amount of satisfaction and meaning that it has to you. These issues have to do with the kinds of games that you are playing in your life or not playing. You could ask somebody, how do you like your life? Uh, they might say, it's great. They might say it's boring. They might say it's terrible. So, what are they really saying? A person's life is the totality of the different games that they are playing. LRH says that there are games that people know that they're playing and games that they don't know that they're playing. The games that you know that you're playing and how well they are going is an indication of your management skill. In other words, how well you're managing these various games that you're playing. And the games that you don't know that you're playing are really what your case is. So the question is, how do you create games that you really want to play? And how do you uncreate games that you don't want to play? And how do you find out what they are? It's important to understand how the dynamics work. The thetan, the eighth dynamic or source, has 7 dynamics that he is creating. Once you decide to be, then the common game that everyone plays is the game of survive. That's the game of all life. But the specific way that you want to survive is your individuality. LRH says that all games are aberrative, but some are fun. And a game that you don't want to play is also called a problem. And LRH also says that in auditing, you don't audit a person towards no game. Thetans are unhappy when they have no game. One of the definitions of Scientology is a technology that enables a person to play a better game in their own estimation. The easiest way to understand the dynamics is from the top down. The eighth dynamic creates the spiritual universe, the theta universe. The seventh dynamic involves individuality, space, flows, intention, all the elements of a game. The seventh dynamic creates the physical universe, which is the playing field, the commonly agreed upon playing field of any game. The physical universe is the most common barrier of any game. When theta combines with mest, you get life forms like plants and animals, this fifth dynamic. And the fifth dynamic has as its parts different types of organisms, which is the fourth dynamic. And then you have survival groups within the type of organism you have, which are the third dynamic. These are the different societies. You could have societies of monkeys or alligators. Okay, and then within that, you've got reproductive units, which creates new bodies. And as a result of that, you get individuals. At one point, the thetan encompassed all the dynamics, all 7 dynamics. But as he went through time and accumulated losses or decisions about being unconscious or unaware, the games got smaller. So the condition you find most thetans in is they identify with their first dynamic, name, body, possessions. All of these games that you've abandoned along the way conform the elements of reactivity. So the question becomes, how do you uncreate old games that you are still playing parts of? You do that by recognizing the elements of a game. You do that by observing in your own behavior small elements of a game. And then once you identify a small element of a game, you can figure out what the whole game is. And once you're aware of the whole game, you can decide to complete it and therefore get rid of it. All of these reactive elements are games that you never ended cycle on. And one of the laws of games is that a person will not let go of even a bad game if the result of that is no game. Any game is better than no game. That's why it's important to have bigger games that you want to play that allows you to let go of the old small games that really you don't care about. You can't let go of small things unless you think about big things. So there are desirable games and undesirable games. And one of the first things to recognize is who have you decided is your enemy, and who has decided that you're their enemy. When somebody thinks that you are their enemy, they are thinking of you as a type of person. They don't like that type of person, so they don't like you, even if they don't know you. Some people don't like bosses. Some people don't like policemen. Any type of person that you can imagine, there are people that don't like them. These are all old games that the person is unaware of, like the cop and the criminal, boss employee, could be husband and wife. Whatever you can think of might be an old game that you're playing. The games are built on identities. And when somebody targets you that they don't know you, it's important to be aware of that they are targeting an identity that they conceive that you are. They're really not targeting you. And the other flow too, people you dislike, you don't really know them. Of course, sometimes you do know them and you just don't like them. But these are all old games. Knowing this, it keeps you from getting sucked into games conditions with other people that you don't want to play. So somebody wants to pick a fight with you, you say, nah, that's not my game. You can see this all the time on social media. So people walk around with these old games and they react to the environment accordingly. People usually fall into three categories. First one is people that create a positive effect on you. Second one is people who create a negative effect on you. And most people don't affect you one way or the other. So some people are natural allies. It's the opposite of somebody disliking you. Whatever games the other person is playing, they see as aligning with the games you're playing. Like if you're trying to create wisdom, you will appreciate people that you see that are doing that. If you like an orderly, safe environment, you like people that are creating that. Before Hubbard wrote up the antisocial personality traits, he had some earlier research. Before the antisocial person, he had what he called a tiger list. When somebody looks at you like they want to eat you. And before that, his original list was people who make me tired. People who make you tired are giving you losses in a subtle way, in a very maybe covert or maybe a subtle way. The effect that people have on you tell you whether they're a natural ally or a natural opponent. When you interact with somebody and they make you feel stronger or more confident or more capable, they're natural allies. When somebody makes you feel like you're crazy and don't know what you're doing, and weak, they're a natural opponent. The one thing that an opponent will never do is flow power to you. An opponent doesn't want you to win, so they will never flow power to you. A natural ally will flow power to you because they want you to win, because they approve of your goals. So in many various ways, an opponent wants to block you, stop you, keep you from being strong, keep you from winning. And somebody who's a natural ally, you're willing to help them, they're willing to help you, you're willing to flow power to them, they're willing to flow power to you, you agree and approve of their goals, and they do the same with you, and there's a big mutual power flow. So these are people that you can have as teammates. So you could say that people who are a natural enemy, you could say that they're antisocial. But if you've got antisocial goals, the people that are an opponent are social personalities. And even most antisocial people are not antisocial to everybody. They're selectively antisocial to certain types of people. Also, it can get confusing because a person can be in some way an ally and in some way an opponent. These are people that you have mixed feelings about. The current word for it is frenemies. The other thing about a potential opponent is they misduplicate you. Of course, they misduplicate you because they don't really see you. They have an overlay of some other stereotype that they're reacting to, and that's their button. It's nothing to do with you, really. For somebody to be truly suppressive, they act that way towards everybody. They will undermine everybody. They want to stop everybody because they don't want anybody to win. That's a way of sorting out different games that you're trying to play or people are trying to play with you. Now, it's very interesting that the concept of no game exists at the very top and at the very bottom. On the responsibility scale, the top item is no previous or current contact, no responsibility, no liability. In other words, there are countless number of games going on in the universe. Games you've never been a part of and don't know anything about have nothing to do with you. It's only the games that you've been a part of that you drag along with you. So at the bottom of you also have a no game. If you've been heavily suppressed, you will also have a no game because you're in a total lose. Nothing you can do. You're completely trapped. You're stuck somewhere that you don't want to be, and you're unconscious. And again, you don't know anything because everything's a mystery. So that would be more like an implant, the effect of an implant on a being. But total suppression, you can't fight back against. Phaetons that have been crushed by that are not even up to having a body. But that doesn't apply to anybody here. Because every game has a gradient between win and lose. Even when you're in a losing position in a game, you're trying to make the cause point wrong by being a victim of him. Well, if you're the victim of somebody and you're promoting that, you're trying to make wrong the person that you say you're a victim of. So the only solution to a suppressive game is leave it. Suppressive game is a game you can't win. And if you find yourself in a situation you can't win, it's a suppressive game. How do you leave a suppressive game? You have to go out the way you came in. Spot the original points of agreement, misunderstoods, and then end the cycle. Don't just not play it anymore. Now, how do you create a good game that you really want to play? An admin scale is very useful for that. Everybody has goals and purposes, and it's good to make them clear in your own mind what they are. So then you can take your goal as a stable datum, and then you organize your dynamics around it. I gave a whole lecture on admin scales on YouTube. It's something that you could look at. One way of figuring it out is noticing positive reactions you have to things. Yeah, what makes you happy? What inspires you? What kind of things do you admire that other people do? What groups do you support? These are all clues on how to organize your dynamics. So you decide what game you want to play. Create beauty, be an artist. Create understanding, be a teacher. Help people do better, be an auditor. So you have a basic goal, and then you have a way of accomplishing it. So the first step on the first dynamic is to put yourself there as a functioning unit. You have to have the kind of mind that you need in order to do it. Yeah, the knowledge and technology of accomplishing it. You create health, you create physical health so that you have the strength and energy to produce. Part of it is having a location that has freedom. You have to be in a place where it's possible to produce what you want to produce. And then you can build it out from there. You can identify potential allies, people who are willing to flow you power, people that you want to flow power to. And those people are your team. They're teammates. Of course, your closest teammate is going to be your mate and your family members. And you should have people around you, at least some, that you can be completely open with and share your reality with. If you feel that you have to defend yourself against somebody, they're really an opponent. As an individual, you can only do so much with the time and space that you have. Like for me, I can only audit so many people, and there's only so many hours in the day. So for me, I love to see other auditors auditing people. And beyond that, I really like to see people helping other people in other ways that really is effective and workable. Other professions that do a good job. I admire good teachers and good administrators. So that's important because you can only have so many first dynamic wins. So if you're supporting a group and they're producing wins, then their wins are your wins. And that's another way you can tell somebody who's a natural ally is they have a win and you feel like it's your win too. And that has nothing to do with whether you actually know these people or not. If you like to create music, you'll appreciate great musicians. So the ideal scene is you're proud of your own products. You're proud of how your family, what the effects of your family, what the effect they create in the environment and what they're producing and creating. You're proud of groups that you're associated with. You're proud of what they're doing and what they're producing. And you have pride in the society that you're part of. You think that they're mostly good people and are mostly supporting survival things. And again, the important idea is that their wins are your wins. So the whole idea is to identify and eliminate negative, non-productive games. You can do a lot of that simply by applying the administrative concepts. One of the definitions of ethics is removing counter intention and other intention from the environment. One of the things that LRH says is that the best opponent is the physical universe. So to strengthen theta is the common denominator. Basic goals are always theta goals. Beauty, truth, aesthetics, enjoyment, all theta goals. So they strengthen theta and weaken the physical universe. 88008. Most humans have zero universe, and physical universe is everything. And you want to change that to the physical universe having no influence and theta in control and back at cause over it. LRH says that Scientology is a game where everybody wins. In any game, somebody wins. Good games are win-win. And the more dynamics that you include in the win, the higher toned the game is. So a game that benefits all the dynamics is a game where everybody wins. In other words, the better the game is, the more power theta has and the less power mest has. And some of these things require auditing to sort out. The L's, for example, specialize or address old games, old opposing identity games. The L's rundown frees you up from reactive games. But you can do a lot of it just on your own by using some of these principles. And LRH said one time that it seems like it would be an awful lot of work to do this. And it is a lot of work. But as LRH said, it was a lot of work to build the pyramids, yet there they are. So this is really a lifetime project. It's not something that you are done and you're done. It's something you work on and continue to improve with. It's really worth doing, and it is the way out. Well, that's the end of my talk. Was there anybody that wanted to ask a question?